There's one person last night that I have great respect for, and that's Al Green, Representative Al Green of Texas. Not the singer, not the preacher, the representative. But before I get to Al Green, I have to mention a couple of things. First of all, the disgusting, sickening way that Donald Trump plays on people's tragedies and adds to them. You know, the idea of introducing the young boy who was made a Secret Service agent on the spot, I guess, last night, the boy that had developed brain cancer at a very young age. It's a tragedy. Under any circumstances, it's a tragedy. But this filthy pig, Donald Trump, made it even worse, because it is Donald Trump's administration that has cut the funding for the National Institute of Health, especially the division that tries to defeat childhood cancers. And for that fucking bum Donald Trump to stand there last night, he didn't do that for that young boy. He did it for himself. He doesn't give a shit if a kid lives or dies. He couldn't care less, because he is such an evil son of a bitch. But that particular moment just, I had to go outside for a minute and take some deep breaths. I didn't know what to do when I saw how hypocritical that bastard is. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention, the Republicans, I'm aware of cults. I have been aware of cults for a very, very long time. Ever since I read, what was the author's name? The one who wrote The True Believer. A former longshoreman from L.A., I think. Drawing a blank. It'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, when I read The True Believer back in the early 60s, I became aware of what it takes to become a member of a cult. And then when I learned about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, then I became more aware of what it takes to become a member of a cult. But what I saw last night with these Christian fascists jumping up and down every chance they had to deliver the praises of this filthy monster, Donald Trump. It was just so disgusting. And it made me realize how what used to be the Republican Party has become nothing but a cult for Donald Jesus Christ Trump. And the members of that cult, who at one time were Christians and are now Christian fascist devils, how easily it was for them to throw off their belief, I guess you could say, in the mythology of Jesus of Nazareth being the Son of God. Now they have Donald Trump as the Son of God. Eric Hoffer, that was the name I was trying to think of. Read Eric Hoffer's book, The True Believer. I think he wrote it in the 50s, for God's sake. But what I witnessed last night for almost 2 hours, almost after every sentence that came out of this hypocritical prick's mouth, the Republicans would stand up and cheer and yell and stomp and scream. And the camera would pan into the crowd a couple of times to show the look, and this is why I call them cult members, the look of beatific glory on the faces of some of these swine. I mean, just as though they were seeing the Virgin Mary, as though they were seeing Jesus walking on the water. It was just vile and disgusting. But this is the party that now owns the legislative branch of government, which means that Donald Trump owns it as well as the executive branch, and just about has secured total ownership of the Supreme Court. The takeaway for me, and I had no expectations, the takeaway for me from the so-called State of the Union address last night was very simply disgust, total disgust. And then when I found out this morning that this fucking bum Donald Trump has decided to withhold intelligence information that the Ukrainians desperately need in order to fight Donald Trump's best buddy who is invading their country and killing them and raping them and chopping them into pieces. And this son of a bitch Trump has decided in his glory not to share any more intelligence information. What are they calling it? A temporary hold, you fucking bastards. Anyone who associates with Donald Trump, how dare you do this? How dare you? This is something I cannot and will not and don't want to come back from. In the middle of a bloody, destructive invasion of one of our friendly countries, one of our allies, and the slaughter and the murder and the mayhem conducted by Putin, along with the contingent of the walking dead that he got from North Korea, these blank fuckers who don't know what the hell to do without Fat Boy, the one that Trump says had a love affair with, the leader of North Korea. Without Fat Boy around, these stupid North Korean soldiers just march into the slaughter. And for Trump, this unconscionable prick to direct his CIA suck up, stop giving them any intelligence about what's going on from my good buddy Vladimir Putin, is, like I said, something I cannot and will not and don't want to ever come back from. Trump is a fucking traitorous, vicious goddamn cancer on this country, and he has to be removed. Legally and peacefully, of course. Oh. Al Green from Texas could not contain the bullshit and the lies that were coming from this fucking white devil standing up in front of the joint session of Congress. Al Green was not one of the Joint Chiefs who could sit there stoically while Trump lied, was not one of the members of the Supreme Court who could sit there with their fucking mouths shut because Trump was only doing what they were putting the blessing on. But Al Green couldn't take it. Democratic Representative Al Green. And now he may face censure by this collection of cult fuckers in the House after he was removed for shouting out during Trump's eruption and vomit of lies and bullshit last night. And to watch this little pasty-faced pissant Mike Johnson instructing the House Sergeant at Arms to eject Green after Green stood up and yelled as Trump was spewing out his horse shit. I have one question about this. Where in the hell were the other Democrats? Sitting right in front of Al Green was the new senator from California. What the hell's his name? He was one of the impeachment managers. Damn it, I hate these brain farts. And he didn't even turn around to look at Al Green. Where was the Democratic Party leadership? Well, the Democratic Party doesn't have any. No, they have people who have positions of leadership in the Democratic Party. But there was a moment when every fucking Democrat in that chamber, after being bitch slapped by Trump and more was coming and denigrated and made to look like a bunch of fools as they sat there, and Al Green had the absolute courage to stand up and say, no, fuck no. And he repeated it and wouldn't stop until that little pasty-faced Christian freak, Mike Johnson, ordered the gendarmes to come in and remove him. Jesus Christ. And I guess it helps me understand to a degree that I don't want to understand why so many people have left the Democratic Party or who didn't vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, when there is a complete lack of respect for one of their members, Al Green, a complete lack of support. When Al Green knew what he was doing, he knows what the rules of the House are. But Al Green decided he had enough. And what he was doing, more or less, was just saying to Trump, I mean, so many members of the Democratic caucus had their little round signs, and that was a good idea, that they would hold up and say that's a lie or, whatever the little message is on those signs. But Al Green took it to the next step, the next level. And in shouting down Trump, or trying to shout him down, what he was saying was, fuck you, Trump, you lying slug. And where was the support? When 4 security people show up to march him out of the chamber, the question I have, of course, because I'm frothing at the mouth about it right now, is where was the support from the Democratic caucus? Where was it? What were they thinking? They were acting, to me, the image I got almost immediately was 5th grade, elementary school, where one kid is causing a disturbance and all the other kids are happy he's causing a disturbance because what the hell is 5th grade? And then the teacher tries to calm the 5th grader down. The one causing the disturbance doesn't work. So she calls the principal, and the principal comes in, and all the other little children get very quiet. Well, they march the disruptive 5th grader out of the classroom, down the hall, probably to do some detention in the principal's office. And all the other children in the 5th grade are sitting there very quiet as a mouse. Don't say anything. Okay. Shh. But the Democratic caucus in the House and the Senate is not comprised of 5th graders. They may act like 5th graders. They did last night, as far as I'm concerned. And seriously, no offense to 5th graders. If you're in the 5th grade, what the hell are you listening to this podcast for? Because you're only 10 years old. Go away. Cousin Mikey uses the F word. But to watch the absolute absence of immediate physical support for Al Green was just, to me, sickening. And here I am trying to believe that the Democrats are going to stop this Nazi fucking Donald Trump. How are they going to do that? Have another meeting on the steps of the Capitol? Get a petition floating around? Oh, come on. Do you guys not realize what you are dealing with? You're dealing with a murderer, Donald Trump, who is repeatedly stabbing to death democracy in this country. Slashing, stabbing. And what the fuck are you doing, Democrats? Nothing. It's just sad. At one point, when Al Green was yelling out his truth, Republicans stood up and cheered their cult leader and were shouting at Al Green, "Get out, get out, get out." And Green responded by shouting at Trump, "You have no mandate to cut Medicaid." And these fucking Christian devil Republicans who were shouting, "Get out," how disgusting every one of them is. Oh, my God. This is... I mean, this is not a surprise to me. I've been bitching, complaining about the movement of these Christian devils into our political system since the middle of the 1980s. 40 fucking years. And because of the job I've had all those years, I have watched these slow encroachments, inch by inch, piece by piece, as these Christian filth move their way into control of the government of the United States. And then Donald Trump, this amoral, filthy pig who had the nerve last night to say that God prevented him from having his fucking head blown off. God prevented it. God protected him from the bullet because God wanted Donald Trump to be the great and wondrous leader that he is. Give me a fucking breath of fresh air here. I'm going to choke to death. That's what we saw last night. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.